in this video, we're going to be making this beautiful honey glycerin soap. This soap contains at least 30% shea butter. It contains honey up to 5% of the oil's weight. It contains glycerin and it's the most skin-friendly soap that you could make. And it is quite easy to make. However, this video has a lot of information. I'm going to be showing you how to bleach your red palm oil to make the colorless palm oil that we use. I'm also going to be showing you how to troubleshoot. Yes, this soap nearly disgraced me. Like at a point, the soap did not turn out well. I had to rebatch the soap. So my intention at first was to delete it and just show you the finished work. This is how the soap turned out initially. You can see just oil and glycerin and everything floating around until I had to fix it. So my intention was just to show you the finished work you saw in the first place, but I decided to show you how to troubleshoot in case if something goes wrong while you are trying to make your soap. Even though I've made this formula many times, I still made a mistake, which I'll tell you about, and anyone can make a mistake. So watch this video to see how I fixed that mistake so that you won't need to throw out your bad soap, but you will learn how to make it better. Let's get right into the video. So first things first, we are going to learn how to bleach our palm oil without using heat. Okay, so this is just for soap making purposes. If you are making it for eating, do not use this method. You can only use this method if it is for soap making. So I like using red palm oil. Sometimes I do use red palm oil because it gives this beautiful yellow or orange color to my soap. But if I don't want that reddish or orange color in my soap, I can bleach the palm oil, which is what I want to show you in this part of the video. And to bleach the palm oil without using heat, we need two ingredients. That is lather, aka sulfonic acid, and we need hydrogen peroxide. These are the two ingredients we need. And we're going to take about 1% of each to add to the oil. So this oil here, I have about 700 milliliters of oil, or about 550 grams. Yes, I think 550 grams. So whatever is the measurement, you use 1%. Okay, so I'm going to be using about 6.5 grams of lather and about 6.5 grams of hydrogen peroxide to bleach this oil. So first thing, I go in with my lather. I add it about 6.5 grams, should be, let's say 1 tablespoon is actually enough for this quantity. If you want to be extra sure, you can measure it. However, because I'm used to doing this process, I know that that quantity would work for me. So I'm going to mix it in thoroughly, and you can see some changes already beginning to happen while I added the lather. So I'm going to give it a very good mix to incorporate it and leave it for a few minutes before I go in with my hydrogen peroxide. So here I go ahead to add my hydrogen peroxide. Because hydrogen peroxide is much lighter in weight than the lather, I add more of it to get that same 6.5 grams that I am aiming towards. And you can see that the color starts changing immediately. However, I'm not using the oil the same day, so I'm going to give it a very good mix, and I'm going to keep it in a dry, dark place or wherever that people's hands won't get on it, and leave it until it is bleached. By the next day, the color would change completely, but I don't even get to use it until about a week or two later. So you are going to see what it looks like. So this is what our bleached palm oil looks like.
Go any
you can
further,
see
let
that
us
it just looks
quick look at the ingredients
very
that we're going to
whitish,
be
like
using
very surprising that it's the same product. So now it is ready for you to use in your soup. Please do not use this for cooking, as I said before. It is not safe for consumption, but you can definitely use it for your
I added
soup.
about 5 milliliters of sodium lactate. If you don't have sodium lactate, you can just add about 3 to 5 grams of salt, normal table salt. What it does is to harden the soap, to make the soap to become harder. And then here we have our citric acid. We have 6 grams of citric acid. So what are we using citric acid for? Is it to lower the pH? No. In soap, citric acid is used to make sodium citrate. So sodium citrate is a chelating agent, and it helps to combat hard water. So it makes your soap to lather very well, even in hard water. And it also helps to preserve your soap, to make your soap to last for a longer period of time. So what the citric acid does is that it reacts with some of the sodium hydroxide you are using to form sodium citrate. So whenever you are making soap and you are adding citric acid, you actually have to add some extra lye, so that because the citric acid is going to eat up some of that lye. So you actually have to add some extra. And I'm going to be putting more details in the description box. So this brings us to our lye. This is our lye, and this is what we are going to use to turn these oils into soap. So the kind of lye we are using today is sodium hydroxide. So in here, we have our glycerin and honey. So this soap is a kind of glycerin soap. It's going to be a semi-transparent glycerin soap. So here I have my glycerin, I have my honey. You can see the measurement on the screen, okay? So I just added them together and I want them to incorporate together. Both glycerin and honey are like sugar-based ingredients, and they are also very good for the skin. Now, the next thing I'm going to be showing you is our ethanol. We're going to be using some ethanol because this soap, like I said, is a semi-transparent soap, and we need to make it transparent. That means we need solvents, and this is one of the solvents we are using, ethanol. So ethanol, you can use isopropyl alcohol, though I do not recommend that for using in making skincare products. It has a stronger smell and it is harsher on the skin. So it's best if you can get ethanol. Then we come to our oils. What oils are we using today? So we are using our bleached palm oil that you saw the other time. So even though there is palm oil, but you can see that it is not reddish because we have already bleached our palm oil as you saw earlier in the video. And then we're also using 100 grams of shea butter. I'm sure you can see the shea butter right inside. And we are also using palm kernel oil. We are using 200 grams of palm kernel oil. We're also having in here castor oil 100 grams. Our bleached palm oil we used 125 grams, and we have stearic acid. This thing that you are seeing that it looks whitish is stearic acid, and we're using 75 grams because we are using solvents, so we need some stearic acid to harden, to make the soap to be hard. And then yeah, that's it for the oils. Okay, so these are all the ingredients we are using. This is quite a simple formulation, and what we are going to do now is we are going to take these oils that we have measured, and we are going to heat them in a double boiler method. So how do you do double boiler method? You take a pot and you put some water inside, then you put it on the fire on the stove, and then you put this one inside that pot. That's double boiler. However, if you have an electric cooker or a cooker that you can regulate the temperature, you can heat this directly on the cooker, but reduce the heat to the lowest, to the barest minimum. And then we're going to heat this until it is about, let's say, 75 to 90 degrees centigrade. So that's what we're going to be doing now. Of course, because I'm making soap, I have my hand gloves. I recommend that you observe all safety protocols, which I'm going to be putting in the description box. If you are new to making soap, you can still make this soap. All you need to do is to make sure that you watch this video step by step, and even when you are making your soap, you can come back to this video and watch it while you are making your soap. Once you follow each step that I followed, I can assure you that you will get the best results. So now our oils are melted nicely, and we are going to make our lye solution. You know, usually you make your lye solution and keep it so that it will become a bit cooler before you use it. But here, we need our lye solution to be hot because we are making a transparent soap and it has to go through gel phase really fast. So and one of the ways we can do that is by making sure that our oils and our lye are actually hot. Okay, so what I'm doing now is to add the citric acid. We'll add the citric acid first before adding the lye. So we add the citric acid, we give it a good stir to ensure that it melts before we add our lye to the water. Please, at the point where you add your sodium lactate, you can actually add your citric acid immediately. I didn't add the citric acid immediately because I wanted to show you what it looked like. I wanted to show you the citric acid. That's why I didn't add it. And I forgot to add it until this point. But if you are making yours, you can actually add your citric acid immediately you add your sodium lactate so that they can all dissolve together. So let's see if there are any particles. So our citric acid is dissolved, and now we can add our lye. Remember, always add lye to water and not water to lye, and ensure that you are working in a very well ventilated area so that you don't inhale a lot of fumes from the lye. Like now that I'm working on this, I'm actually standing behind the tripod that I'm using, so I'm not standing directly close to the lye solution. So this is our lye solution, and you can see the heat, it's hot. So let me take the temperature for you to see. It's about 83 degrees. Our oils are about 80.4 degrees. Now, what if you do not have a thermometer? Does it mean you can't make soap? if you don't have a thermometer. You can actually make your soap whether you don't have a thermometer or not. You can just see. You can see that everything here is melted. It is still hot. And for our lye solution, we are going to allow it to make sure that all the lye dissolves. It will become a little bit clearer before we start using it. Can you see? So make sure that everything dissolves. You don't have any particles of lye, even though we want to use it while it's hot, but it still needs to be dissolved before we can use it. If not, you have some pieces of lye in your soap and they are going to burn your skin. So this is what we have, like our lye solution dissolve very well. So once you can see through it, it's becoming clearer, you can see. And you look at it, there are no particles. Can you see? I don't know if you can see this, but it's clear and there are actually no lye particles anymore. So we know that it is ready to use. So here we go. These are our oils. Don't mind this. This is from, I think, the palm oil. So give it a good mix. Transfer this here. So now this is where you need to be very careful. The lye solution is hot. The oils are hot. You need to add the lye in very, very slowly, because if you add it too much at a time, it will create a volcano. So you need to be very, very slow here. Don't be in a rush at all. Just be very, very slow. You add it and you stir gently. It is going to be a slow process, but trust me, it is worth the wait. So add it very slowly, as you can see me doing. Very, very slowly. Gently, you add, you stir, you add more. Don't be in a hurry. You can see that saponification is already taking place. Okay, so you add it gently, gently, gently. It is this fast because the oils and the lye are hot. So you need to be very careful. And at this point, you need to make sure that you avoid anything that will make the lye solution to pour on your skin, or the soap rather, because it is very hot right now. So you don't want anything that will make this to pour on your skin. So keep stirring. At this point, if you have a stick blender, you can use it. I do have a stick blender, but I just want to show you that whether you have a stick blender or not, you can still make soap. Some people will be like, I don't have a stick blender, I would have made soap. You don't need a stick blender to make soap. Yes, it makes it easier, the fact that you don't need to be stirring by hand, but that doesn't mean if you don't have it, you cannot make your soap. So you just keep stirring until there are changes. You see the changes as time goes on. Stir rigorously, but make sure that it doesn't splash. Stir rigorously, but carefully. So I'm still stirring. You actually have to stir for a while. This is about 5 minutes of stirring. And you can see that the soap is beginning to change, so we need to keep stirring. When you have a hand blender, it makes it easier, but if you're making a small amount, you can actually stir by hand and you will get it right. You just need to stir very well. This is the hardest part of making this soap. So you can see it begins to thicken. It's like, this is what is called trace. It's getting to trace. I want to scrape off these to ensure that everything comes saponified. Okay. So when you are making this and you're not using a stick blender, stirring is non-negotiable. I have a stick blender, but like I said, when making small batches of soap, I actually prefer to stir by hand. It gives me more control. When I use a stick blender, air enters quickly and everything just changes very fast. So I prefer to use my hand to stir it just to give me more control over what I'm doing. So here we have it. You can see that it's changing very well, becoming much thicker, becoming thicker, thicker, thicker. So you know that it's becoming done when you see this, but you still need to keep stirring. So this is what we have now. Now it's time for the next step. So what I have here in this bowl is hot water, water that has just recently been boiled. So I'm going to put this into it. Okay, just to maintain that temperature, we need it to still be hot. So to maintain that temperature, we put it inside the hot water and cover it. So we have to cover it to keep it hot. Okay, so I've covered the soap and kept it in a warm place inside the warm water just to maintain that temperature. So this is my glycerin and honey mixture, and I'm going to be adding a bit of distilled water to kind of like dilute it further. So I'm adding about 100 grams of distilled water into this, and then I'm going to be measuring out my ethanol. So for my ethanol, I'm going to be using 300. I'm going to be using about 300 grams, right? Let's see. Yes, so I have 300 grams of ethanol. And I'm adding 100 grams of distilled water to this mixture. Doesn't have to be exactly 100, just like an estimate. Could be a bit more, could be a bit less. So I have like 110 grams, and that's fine. At this stage, you just need to be careful to get a good range, but it's not that if it's not exactly like that, your soap is going to be ruined. So these are my solvents, which I'm going to add to the soap when it's ready. Okay, that's all for now. So this is our soap. I don't know if you can see what it looks like, but it has become kind of translucent. Then you know that yes, it is ready. It has gone through some sort of gel phase. Now we're ready to add our solvents. We add in our solvents. Now these solvents, both the sugars, the glycerin, honey, and the ethanol, they heat up the soap again. So it's the heat that brings out that transparent look that we're aiming for. So you stir this very well to incorporate. You can see the soap starts becoming even more darker, or more, should I say, honey-like, translucent. Okay, so this is what we're having. It's a beautiful color for the soap. I love it. So we are going to add our ethanol. So I'm actually trying to get all the soap that I have on the whisk out. So I'm trying to be as gentle as possible so that I don't experience too much bubbles, because too much bubbles will be difficult to get rid of. But yeah, it's coming together nicely, as you can see. So at this stage, you are going to go back to put it back in that hot water bath until it melts very well, like until you can see that it is really transparent. So you put it back in the water bath. I'm going to go and make the water bath and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what our lather looks like. It is far from where it's supposed to or is going to be, but it's looking okay right now. I want to take the pH to see what it's like too. So this is the pH right now. It's at like pH 10, which is high, but the pH is going to go down as time goes on. As we cook it and we leave it to cure, the pH is definitely going to go down. But 11, 10 is a good starting point for a soap that was just made right now. If you have a soap that was made right now and the pH is going to like 14, you know that there is a problem. So basically, what I have done right now is to cover the soap with a nylon. I was looking for my cling wrap, I couldn't find it, but I saw a polythene bag, so I just quickly innovated and covered it with it. And there is sun outside, so I put it in the sun. You know, what you really need now is heat to dissolve the soap very well. So I put it out in the sun. But if there is no sun where you are, like I said, you can use a double boiler. Just make sure you cover it very well so that the ethanol will not evaporate. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to prepare my mold because the soap is going to be ready soon. But when I'm using molds, especially the molds that don't have wood, I usually put them on a tray so that I'll be able to carry, because you know when you pour the soap in, it is still liquid. So you need a surface to be able to carry it. So this is the mold I want to use. It has like a bee. You know, we're doing honey soap, so it has a bee something on it. Though I don't think it will be enough, but if it is not enough, I still have another mold, or I can always put the remaining soap into any container I can find around. So at this point in time, the soap was actually ready, or so I thought. I think I made two mistakes in this soap. Number one, I didn't cook it enough. So this film on top, if I had cooked it enough, it should have turned into like a translucent film. I've made this type of soap several times, but I never used honey as the major as a major solvent. I used to use sugar solution. So I thought this was because of the honey. The second mistake I made in this soap was that I added super fat to it. So super fat is like extra oils that you add to your soap that will be free floating in the soap so that it will be more moisturizing. But when making transparent soap, because you are using solvents, you don't actually add super fat to it. You are supposed to use the glycerin, the honey, the sugar water. Those are going to be like your super fats because they are also super moisturizing. But when I planned to make the soap initially, it was supposed to be an ordinary cold processed soap. But I later changed my mind because I really love glycerin soaps. They are very good for my sensitive skin. So I changed my mind and I forgot to recalculate the lye. So that was the mistake I made. Now, what is the lesson I want you to learn from this? The lesson is that number one, keep notes. If I didn't keep notes, I would not have known that I made these mistakes. I would have just been wondering what exactly was the issue. And then I may not have been able to come up with a strategy to rebatch it. Okay. So the second lesson I want you to learn is that
soap making or formulation in general, it doesn't always go as planned. Mistakes can happen even with the most experts, like even with experts, people that have been doing it for years can make mistakes. When I started initially, whenever I made any mistake, I'll be so down and I would just feel like it's because something is wrong with me. But I discovered that people don't actually show their mistakes online. They'll show you the parts that is good and remove the mistakes. Okay. Initially, I even plan to do the same. I plan to remove the parts where the soap was bad and just show you the finished products, and then I'll adjust the line measurement so that if you make yours, it will turn out well. But I decided to show you this so that you will know that yes, this soap, I have made several glycerin soaps, just that I've never added honey, but I have made several batches successfully. Okay. So what did I do to rebatch? I have this batch of soap, 50% shea butter soap, which I have the video down. I will link the video in the description box so that you can watch it. So this soap base you are seeing, I made it myself with 50% shea butter and palm oil and palm kernel oil and the rest. So I just added it to the soap just to, eat up some of that, so to eat up some of the extra oils and solvents that were floating all over the soap. So here I'm adding sodium lactate. Why I'm adding sodium lactate is to make the soap to be able to harden up quickly and to be easier to remove from the mold. And then I'm also adding a little bit of the liquid soap that I made the last time. The video, I think 2 videos before this one, is the liquid soap. So I'm just adding it because you need some liquid to loosen it up. So I didn't want to add water alone. That's why I added some of the liquid soap, and then I still added some distilled water. So after doing this, I just mix everything together. If you can see very well, you see that I've cut the soap into small pieces. Now, when you want to rebatch your soap, it's better you do it as soon as possible so that the soap does not become too hard, and it will take a longer time to melt down. But do it when you are calm. Just leave the soap till maybe the next day when you are calm, because when you make a mistake with your soap making, you can just get confused and make things worse. So I add a little bit of distilled water to the mixture, and then I'm going to take it to double boil it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tight fitting lid. I'm going to use a lid that can cover it very well, and then I'm going to put a pot on the fire, put some water in the pot, and put this container that has the soap in it on top. And remember, I'm going to cover it because I don't want all the solvents to disappear or to evaporate before my soap is ready. So that is exactly what I did here. Now you can see the result after covering it and double boiling for about 2 hours. Yes, I did double boil this for about 2 hours. This is what I have. You can see the difference between the face of this one and the face of the other one. So that's why I said one of the mistakes I made was not cooking it very well. I think I cooked the other one for about maybe an hour or so. I was just in a hurry. So, but this time around, I cooked it well. This is the pot I used, and this is the tight fitting cover that I used. So I left it till the next day, and my soap is ready to unmold. So you want to unmold carefully. You want to drag away the sides of your mold, so that you don't squash your soap or make it go out of shape. So this is our soap. Can you imagine? Can you see the magic of rebatching? It is beautiful. Now it has not achieved its full hardness and it has not achieved its full transparency. It's going to become more transparent as it cures. I'm going to keep it. So literally you can actually use it now because it's a soap that has been cooked, but then it is better to leave it so that the water content goes out and it will become more long lasting. So I unmold the soap. I had some in 2 plastic containers. I also unmolded that one. I cut them into smaller pieces, and I'm so happy. This soap smells so nice. I added some fragrance to it after it was ready, a little bit, and it smells like honey also. I used raw honey. It smells wonderful, and I just love it. In fact, I love the way it turned out. So here is the one that was in the plastic container, and I'm trying to cut it up, and that's it. So the soap has a very good lather like we saw before. Right now it is still very fresh, so you will not see the full lathering capacity, but it has a very good lather. I can assure you of that. However, I love how this soap feels. It feels so conditioning. It is not the kind of soap that you use and then it dries out your skin so badly. I love it. Now, if you watch this video to this point, I want to say a great big thank you to you. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Have you ever made soap and it didn't go out, it didn't turn out as you wished? What did you do? Did you throw it away? Have you learned something new today? Drop any questions you have in the comments and I'll definitely come back to respond. Bye.